I brought the bunny. You don't have to cry over it.
There's people that are dying.
This is too bitchy. I shouldn't say it.
Piece of garbage.
You have this big-ass house, and you can't afford a Wi-Fi box out here?
Keeping you up to date with all the reality TV drama
and celebrity gossip. You're listening to Trashy TV
with Ash P
and Tommy B.
Baby, I'm only judging what you give me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I've got a special episode today. Ashley wasn't able to make it because she is, an essential worker. So she's a nurse, so she's working very hard. And I said, you know what? Have the week off. I'm going to film an episode on Erika Jayne, and it's going to be a special about Erika Jayne, all about Erika, about do we think she's guilty, do we think she's not guilty, and I have one of my best friends here, Chelsea Tomasin, right here. You say hello, Chelsea, it's all right?
Hello, so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me to be on your podcast.
That's okay, I'm very excited. I thought there was no better person than Chelsea to have on the podcast because she's been watching Beverly Hills for years, so she really has a good insight into what's going on and everything like that, where Ashley's more a new fan, so I feel like it's going to be good to have another opinion, a third opinion to this podcast. But I'm going to get started, so stay tuned guys, it's going to be a great episode.
Can you say hi?
Hi!
Bad guy.
What about him?
Bad guy.
Who's a bad guy?
Is Erika the bad guy?
Okay guys, so obviously there's a lot of shit going on with Erika Jayne at the moment, and I just felt like I needed to do a whole episode on it, It's just because there's so much that's been happening, it's hard to do it in like 10, 15 minutes that we usually do in a normal podcast. But, I'm going to start off. I'm going to ask Chelsea some questions. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Great,
That's
thanks.
That's all right. So obviously we have both had different opinions. I started off thinking she was like more innocent than guilty, and you were obviously, saw through her BS. So I kind of want to know what are your reasonings on why you feel like she's guilty? Because I'm assuming people who are listening already kind of know what happened with her legal problems, all that stuff. So you just tell us, why.
Yeah, great. Look, it's interesting. I think definitely her reaction, whether she knew or not, it almost doesn't even matter now, because I think it's more about her reaction, and she's acting guilty. I think it's, Tom was the one that stole all this money, and she's acting a bit like she's acting guilty, I think, because she hasn't, kudos to her, she hasn't really turned on Tom. And I think if you look back through the whole season, she doesn't talk about Tom a lot and her marriage with Tom. And she's very, he's the best husband ever. He treats me so well. She's always been very supportive of him, but she doesn't give a lot of information away. And then now, all this information that's sort of come out, and she's still, she's going after all the other girls in the season, which is really interesting. It must be really hard to have this all sort of unfold on national TV, and the judgment of the viewers that's sort of coming her way must be really tough. But I think she's put herself in this situation, and I guess, we'll see how it all unfolds. But I definitely think that she has had a role in it.
No, but I think she's, it's like, listen, I started off this season, thinking she was more innocent, and I don't know what happened. Even if you asked me probably a month and a half ago, I would have had a different, answer now. And it's not so much I think she didn't know the whole time. Personally, for me, I feel like she, I compare it to someone like you, Chelsea, you know what I mean? You're very independent. You would know what's going on, right? You're hardworking, you have a great job, all of this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But I feel like, so you would know, and I feel like other women would know, but I feel like she wouldn't know a lot to do with the bank earnings or the what's coming in, what's coming out, because she really was kind of just there for the money. And I think she found out later on, and she left him, and she's like, I'm out of here. I think she definitely, it was like a business transaction. I don't feel like their relationship was, I don't know, he was using her, she was using him, for sure. But I just found it really interesting that she seems to defend Tom. That confuses me. I think that's the point that has confuse me, because it's like she almost defends him over any of the victims or anything. Like she's always saying, oh, he's done, like, he's done this stuff, but his mind's gone or whatever. But this stuff has been going on for like 40 years before this car crash, that he was unconscious and fell off the road and broke his leg or whatever the hell that happened. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah. There's definitely been inconsistencies to her stories, which makes it really hard to believe what she says. And yeah, you're right. She has sort of been defending Tom and the lack of empathy through this whole season. And you can see it all over her social media, on Twitter and Instagram. She hasn't mentioned the victims once.
No, she hasn't.
And I think it's interesting if you compare her case, I mean, completely different situations, but Harvey Weinstein's wife, Georgina Chapman, she disappeared from social media for months. She was like scared to leave the house. She was in an interview with Vogue. She was saying how sort of ashamed she was of his actions and how awful she felt for the victims. And you can see like the empathy in that. With Erika, it's almost been the complete opposite. It's almost like she doesn't care, which is a bit sad. It is a bit
sad. I totally agree with you. That's what I just feel like. And listen, I'm not like this one that like thinks, oh, Erika's this evil genius and knew from the start. No, I don't think that. I think she went into the marriage thinking she wants money, and that's what she got. And then she found out last year or the year before, you know what I mean? I don't think she knew the whole time. And I think that people seem to forget that he was making hundreds of millions of dollars, you know what I mean? So if he did say, hey, honey, I'm going to transfer $25 million into your account because you know what, it's going to be better for interest, better for that, you probably wouldn't like bat an eyelid. You know, it's kind of comparing if someone, had $1 million and they're like, hey, I'm just going to transfer 50 grand into your account, just going to be better for interest. And if you're a married couple, a lot of women who, are relying on their husbands and stuff like that, they're probably not going to think anything of it. You know what I mean? So I think that she figured it out eventually, but I think that she definitely wasn't, I don't think her main thing was like, caring about the money, all of this stuff. And yeah, I just feel like it's weird how she handles like the victims and all of that stuff. It's just, that's the bit that's got me. Not so much the I don't think she knew the whole time personally for me. That's what I believe. But I just feel like it was weird just seeing her not seem to care. And it's like, even if you don't bloody care, just pretend to care. So people think that, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm living for that she's like bringing the drama and stuff, but it kind of shocks me that I'm like, you're going to be in a court case, all of this stuff, and you're looking like you're looking really bad. And if I just want to go back to, let's say, Real Housewives of New Jersey, right? Obviously, Teresa would go crazy in all the seasons, but in season 6, if you go back and watch that season, she really didn't get involved in anything. The one before she got indicted and went to prison. She never really got involved.
She held back.
Like even they tried to push her, those twins and all that, they all tried to push her into arguments, but she really kind of like, she's still an idiot, but you know what I mean? She pushed herself back and wasn't really she wasn't the main focus. Like she was the main focus of the season, but not drama-wise, where Erika is. And it's I don't know, it's crazy. I just, I'm shocked. And also Chelsea, I want to know, what do you think of the car crash? Did we believe the car crash story?
The car crash? Which one?
Well, how about you say the original one, then I'll explain the second one for people who haven't watched the latest episode.
Yeah. So I think was it last season where there's a scene where she's out to lunch with a couple of girls and she says, Tom she was late. Yeah. I'm sure she was late. And then she sort of said, I'm so sorry I'm late. Tom was in a car accident and he injured his ankle. And, the girls are really concerned, but she's like, no, they're fine. He's fine, just a bit shaken up. And then this season, she said, no, there was more to that story. So apparently, and I wrote this down because it just seems so crazy and dramatic. So he was apparently unconscious for 12 hours. He suffered a head injury, broke his shoulder, snapped his ankle, and broke his clavicle. But he managed to call her to come and get him. So he obviously had his phone on him. And then when she found him, he was separate from his car because he drove off a cliff. So it seems like such a I mean, maybe it did happen. I don't know, but I think the way that it's the way that she says the story. It's so matter of fact, and it's just one thing after the other that it seems so extreme. It is hard to believe. And it seemed really random that she brought it up this season.
Yeah, it is.
I think it was the point. I think she's using that story as the point of when Tom started to lose his mind, and he was never the same after that accident. And if that is the case, it sounds like a really severe accident. I don't know if he was separate to his car, how did he have his phone on him to call her? And if he was unconscious for 12 hours, like, he would have gone to hospital, there would have been a police report, and there's been no evidence of that.
Hospital reports, obviously we can't get, but police reports, the Pasadena police, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, so it just sounds, really extreme. I think there probably was an accident of some sort. I think there's been a few white lies maybe put into that to make it seem a little bit more than what it was. 100%. I just sort of think it's because she didn't mention this last season when she was telling the girls. I feel like if it was something that severe, she wouldn't have gone out to lunch to begin with. She'd be in hospital with him to make sure that he's okay. And you would have said something to your best friends. It seems unusual that you wouldn't mention that until like years later.
Even if it was off camera, you know what I mean? Even if it was not on camera, you think that she would tell him. And I don't know if maybe he just had a car accident, hit a tree, and the airbag went off, and he, had an injury or whatever. And I can understand why he wouldn't want to say that. I mean, he should have said it, but I think maybe he was just like, oh, hey, you know what? I didn't want to tell anyone because it looks bad on my practice if people think like I'm incapable of, doing stuff, you know what I mean? So I feel like that had something to do with it. But it's just so hard to believe. It's so like crazy I don't know, it's just an unbelievable story. And then the last one that was on last night, Erika sat down with Kyle and was saying, oh, well, Tom's house got broken into, and then was it like punched in the face or something happened?
Yeah, he confronted, so his house got broken into, and I'm assuming that's the big mansion that we're seeing on the show, because he hasn't moved out yet. So it's broken into, he confronts the burglar, which I don't know why you would if you're in your 80s and you've got dementia. You're not, I mean, I don't know. And then he needed some sort of surgery. I think she said eye surgery, which sounds really random in itself. And then her son, who's a police officer, he lives somewhere where it's snowing or there's ice on the road, and he rolled his car 5 times. To Tom or driving back from Tom?
He checked on him and then he was driving back home. But what I want to make a point, like I've obviously been to that side of America a couple of times, and I don't think it's not like, I mean, I'm probably wrong, but like it's not somewhere that would like snow. Like he would have to be pretty far out on the way home. Like, where is he living? Because he was living with Erika and Tom. So why did he move out so far? Like, it's weird. It's like, you know what I mean? Like I stayed in like near Pasadena, not right near, but it's like being like South Moraine, Melbourne City. You know what I mean? It's not, the weather's not that drastically different, but it just seemed odd that like, was there snow? Like they kind of seemed to be weirded out by that. I'm not saying there isn't snow, but it would have to be pretty far out for there to be like, was it just ice? I don't know. It was weird. That story seems more unbelievable than the one where Tom like fell out of his car. Personally, I'm like, why is everyone in this family rolling their cars? And like, it just makes no sense.
I know. And I think and she just sort of says it like matter of fact, one thing after the other. And Carl's like, whoa, take a step back. Like, is Tom okay? Is your son okay? There's like no, and she doesn't really go into it. And maybe it just wasn't on camera. But that's all we sort of know for the story. We don't really know if the son's okay or, the damage to the car or, what happened. How did was anything stolen from the house? Like,
it's just like a story, but there's no details to back it up almost. It's like, just like this happened, that happened. And then it's like, and then even at the end for the trailer for next week, Dorit brings it up, and then Erika's like, yeah, allegedly that's what happened. But I'm like, what do you mean allegedly?
Yeah,
that's what you said. Like, what do you mean allegedly? Like, what? It's so confusing. Like, it just seems odd that like, I feel like maybe Sutton is right and she's working with like Tom's lawyers and they're trying to come up with different stories. But I think maybe the reason the first story, how his brain went, off or whatever in the car accident. Maybe when they came up with that story, all of the big stories hadn't come out. It was only from it was only the 2018 plane crash. So maybe that was their kind of like out, but then everyone else came out. So now it's obviously like bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? I also want to talk about, I watched an interview with Heather McDonald. Do you know her? She's like she's from White Chick. Yeah,
she's a comedian, isn't she?
It's just like a Juicy Scoop. That's her podcast. And she had a guy called Troy Jensen on. He used to be Erika's like makeup artist. And like image consultant person. So this was like from like 10 years ago. And he like did all of her, like tried to style her and stuff like that. Anyway, he had a fight with like Mikey, Erika's like main assistant or I don't even know what you call him, like main bitch, I don't even know. And he like got angry at him and angry at Erika as well, saying you just pay your way to the top and you're just, buying everyone and all this stuff. But apparently more of his issues were with Mikey and stuff. But Heather asked, did Erika ever have a boyfriend when you were working for Erika? And he said, I can't touch on that, or something to that effect. So he didn't say no. So it was much like alluding to the fact that she did have like was cheating on Tom. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by that, right? Like, do you think she was cheating on Tom?
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think in the few scenes that you do see the two of them together, and maybe their marriage, it's hard to see because you only see what's on TV. So it's only a snippet of their life. But it seemed very business-like.
100%.
It didn't seem like you see Kyle and Mauricio and, Dorit and PK, and they have a completely different relationship to what Erika and Tom had. So, yeah, it probably wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think
I don't know when she'd have time to have a boyfriend, though. With her business and Erika Jayne.
And this was like when? This was like probably like 2011 and before, like 2007, 2011, or whenever he was working for her. So well before the Housewives. But he also said that, because she asked, was she ever interested in like Beverly Hills? Did you guys ever talk about it? Because how Erika's like, I didn't watch it before, didn't really know anything. And apparently he said that, her manager brought it up, obviously must have been like the first couple of seasons, and said, would you do something like that? And she was like, probably. And then the guy said, the makeup artist Troy was like, no, don't do it, like they'll probably spin stuff and just attack you, all of this stuff. And he's like, you don't even live in Pasadena, in Beverly Hills, you live in Pasadena. And apparently her response is like, it's all right, I can buy a house in Beverly Hills. So it's funny that she was like, her eye was on like that type of thing back then anyway. So it's like she did kind of want to get on a reality show and stuff, because in her book she's like, I needed a pivot and I needed something else, and then it just came across. But it almost seems like now that's what she was trying to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it worked for her because it promoted her business. And Erika Jayne, I mean, I had no idea who she was until she came on the show, and then suddenly she's in Broadway and doing all these shows, which kind of makes you wonder where all the money went. If it has gone to these shows, and her performances obviously hasn't made back that money.
Well, I feel like all the little money she did make would have gone to like the Glam Squad, gone to all of that. It was so much money, $40,000 a month. She obviously at the start was not earning anything like that. You know what I mean? Even now, I feel like the amount of money she would earn still wouldn't be enough to support like $40,000 a month. You know what I mean? Back, when she was like really big. But I mean, the only thing it's sad about me is when Erika first came on the show, I absolutely loved her and I was really impressed by her. Like, I loved that she was, outspoken and she was confident, and she really changed the game in Beverly Hills. Like when her season came, she really changed that. Now it's all about the fashion and all of that, where before it really wasn't like that big. Like season 5, before then, it was just not really like about the fashion. They would dress up and stuff, but it wasn't like that until Erika came. She really changed the game in that. And I don't know, I think she's an important part of the show. And that's to my next question, Chelsea, for you. Do you think she's going to be on next season?
I think she needs to work. and that's her job at the moment. I think that's why she's doing the show at the moment, because I don't think anyone in her position would sign up to have this all aired and played out on national TV. Like, that must be really tough. I don't know. I don't think she should be on next season. I don't think they should give her the airtime. I don't think she deserves it. But then at the same time, would they have had a storyline this season if it wasn't for her?
What would have happened this season? I'm sure
Probably
something
not.
else would have happened, but not to the degree of what's going on. Like, this is probably the biggest scandal. I feel like this is 10 times bigger than what Teresa went through, you know, in Jersey with her legal problems, you know. And I think I think a lot of people say, oh, why would she even go on the show? But it's like, she doesn't have any money anymore. She needs that paycheck. She's probably getting a couple $100,000 being on that show. That's her main income. She needs it. If she was rich, like we saw with Lisa Vanderpump, she's that rich. She's like, I'm not going to deal with these, you know, idiots coming after me, so I'm leaving. She didn't care. You know, she could afford to do that. Erika can't afford to do that. So I think she's in complete control of the producers right now. So I feel like she definitely will be back next season, especially since it's rating pretty well. This season, the fans are really enjoying it. Like, you know what I mean? The last couple of seasons, people were not liking the whole, you know, Mean Girls and stuff like that. But this season, people have really been enjoying it. So I can't see them getting rid of her or even changing anything with like the cast. You know what I mean? I feel like they might add someone, or, you know, whatever. I can't see them doing too many cast changes. I feel like they're going to want to get all this Erika stuff, or kind of, you know, get all the juice out of it before it runs dry. Like, I feel like once it's all over, she's gone. They're not going to care about her. But I feel like right now, that's bringing the money in for Bravo, so they're going to continue to, you know, to use her, I think.
Yeah, look, it'll be interesting if she does stay on. I want to see sort of more. I think they need to change the cast up anyway. It's getting a little bit old. Like, I'm loving Sutton and Garcelle, and I really want to see more of Kathy Hilton. You know, they need more ladies like Kathy, I think, to just sort of, because that's why, I mean, I don't know about you, but I originally started watching the show to sort of watch these such extreme lifestyles and the wealth and the money, and that was entertaining, and it's come a lot. It's gone away from that. It's become more about the drama.
100%. It's become more about the drama, and I feel like it's become, and I think that is and it's become a lot more about the fashion and all of that stuff, you know what I mean? And not so much the wealthy lifestyles, you know what I mean? Or it's kind of like, let's bring someone in who's well known. Like, let's bring Denise in, but you know, that's great, but she's not as rich as someone, you know, who they could bring on that's not famous, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's rich, but not like rich, you know what I mean? But I think Kathy is great for that, because I think Kathy brings that element of like how it was with Adrienne and Camille and all of that stuff. I think that they just need to get away from this, like, the Mean Girls, you know what I mean? Like, I think if they just kept, like, I'm happy for Dorit to stick around, because I feel like, love the fashion, love all of that. But I feel like Lisa Rinna, her time is up. I feel like she needs to go. I feel like her defending Erika the whole time, I'm like, it's such BS. She's like, yeah, but she's my friend. Well, you went after Lisa Vanderpump, you went after Denise, who was meant to be your best friend, and you're not going to go after her because you don't know the truth. Well, you didn't know the truth about anyone else, but you're going to stick by her. Just, I don't know. She rubs me the wrong way, Chelsea. I just can't deal with her stupid lips and a stupid haircut.
I feel like Lisa's invested, or there's something else that we don't know why Lisa is sort of sticking by Erika's side. I mean, all the ladies, they're sort of brushing around it. It's really been Sutton and a little bit of Dorit. She's sort of starting to speak up now, but everyone's sort of beating around the bush. They're not. It's almost like they're a little bit afraid of her, and I don't blame them, to be honest. The way that Erika reacted to Sutton the other episode.
And what's Tom going to do? Like, Tom's going to sue her. Erika's like, you know, you got to be careful because people are going to sue you. What? He's going to sue with what money? What money is he going to sue Erika in? Oh, so he's scamming money out of people. Now he's going to scam. He's going to now sue, what's her name, Sutton, because she's telling the truth. But how many other people have said the same thing? It's in the articles. Like, hello, like, we're saying the same thing. What, is Tom going to come sue us? Like, with what money? And what money are you going to sue? Like, there's no money there. You know, like, shut up. That's just like this, like, stupid, absolutely stupid. I actually had another question. I think that the audience and the fans and stuff, I feel like they're really hard on Erika. I can understand why, but I feel like from the beginning they were really hard on her, and it's like it is more Tom than her, 100%. But I just wonder if this came out when Denise was in the show or Lisa Vanderpump was in the show and it happened to them, the exact same thing, I feel like fans would probably more believe them. Like, I feel like they just didn't believe Erika at the start, not because they actually thought she was guilty, but because they just didn't like the way she's acted on the show. Personally, that's what I feel. You know, if you're more, like, let's say if this was let's say Lisa Rinna. If this was Lisa Rinna, everyone would be like, yep, she did it, because we don't like her, right? But if this happened to Garcelle, more people are going to be like, no, I don't believe she did it. So even with the same amount of evidence. So I think that's the thing that still keeps me it's just hard, because it's like I feel like I like Erika, but I'm disappointed. Like, I'm definitely not like on her side anymore, but like I also like don't hate her, or I'm not like, you know, like as I say, I was laughing last time on the podcast because on my Twitter, one thing I'm retweeting like Team Erika, and the next one I'm like, pay the orphans back, you know what I mean? So it's like my Twitter's all over the place, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just find, I don't know, what do you think? Do you think if it was someone else, would the audience have a different reaction if this happened to Garcelle or Lisa Vanderpump or Denise or someone like that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think if it was anybody else, they would have reacted differently to what Erika is reacting now. I think it's a very emotional case. You've got some really traumatic experiences to these poor victims. You know, it's very... I think a lot of people are emotionally invested in getting the right outcome for the victims. So I think if it was anybody else, the audience probably would react the same. But if it was Lisa Vanderpump, for example, you know, she would have a lot more empathy and try and do everything she could to help the victims.
She would be more compassionate.
You know, Erika's, she's... You know, she still lives in a $1 million condo, and her house is fully furnished, you know, even the pool room. Like, that's not essential for her lifestyle. She's claiming that all of her possessions are gifts. You know, if that was... I mean, I wouldn't trade places with her if you paid me to. If I was in her position, you'd start selling your gifted items, wouldn't you, to try and help make up that missing money, because at the end of the day she is involved, and she's
earning more money than Tom at the moment, you know what I mean? For the last year she's been earning more money than him, because he gets like there was a report we did like on one of the podcasts, he was getting $2,000 a month, you know what I mean? So like she's earning more than him. So, you know, they're going to come knocking, and as PK said on one of the episodes, you know, she's, you know, acting like she doesn't care and all this stuff. And the court's going to, like, come down hard on her. Like, yes, she's not charged with anything at the moment, as Andy Cohen and Lisa Rinna keep saying. But, I mean, like, I think something's going to happen. I don't think she's going to get out of this, like, scot-free. But even, like, the other lawyer, what's his name? Is it Ronald... Yeah, like, but even
Richards?
him, I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, I wouldn't want a lawyer on my, like, going after her that much. Like, that doesn't seem very ethical. Like, he always goes after her, posting stuff about her. Like, why is everyone in this case, like, it's like, I don't know, it's just like, it feels like this is like a TV show.
It's very public. It makes it, I mean, it's great to follow for viewers and anyone who's sort of invested and interested in the case, but I think you'd want it to be a little bit, surely it should be maybe a little bit
like,
more private.
I just feel like it's like the way he's going after her as well, like lawyers don't do that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's just crazy, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens and all of that stuff. I don't know, it's just such a, I'm just shocked that my opinion has changed from the start of this season, you know what I mean? As you know, I was always on her side, and I'm not like particularly like all the way on the other end of like, oh, she was the mastermind behind it. I just think, yes, she found out at the end. But I think where my opinion comes from, it's more the way she's handling it, not so much what has happened. Like, I still kind of stand in what I believe in what happened, but it's kind of how she's handled the situation and all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look, like, it's not alleged what he did.
Yeah, it's not alleged.
I think they're pretty confident that he's stolen this money, and they can't find it. It's all gone. It's what alleged is that he's lost his mind. and that he can't remember what day it is. That's what's alleged. So regardless whether Erika knew or not, she knows now, and it's important what she does now to try and fix it because she is associated to it and her name is being dragged through it.
It's just, and also one question. I've got another question for you. Do you think that she's ever gonna like, as Erika? I mean, when PK and Dorit were having that conversation, and Dorit was like, "Oh, you know, I want to see her on top again and get back to, you know, taking over the world." And do we think that she's actually gonna like come back from this? Like, I can't see that.
She'll reinvent herself. She will reinvent herself. She'll have to choose a different name. I think she's going to have to go quiet for a little bit and then come back. But I don't think it'll be like where she was. I think there'll be a lot of people that don't perhaps want to associate themselves with her and her part in this case. It'll be really difficult for her.
Like, she won't be able to, even if she wants to be a singer, and she can't go to these clubs and be like, it's expensive to be me, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I can't see her, like, singing that, like, it's still a jam, but, like, you know, like, I can't see her performing that, or, you know, it's like, it's just, I feel like it's really bad for her. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't even know where, like, I don't even know where you go from here. Like, it's just like, because she's not handling it well, it's like, where do you go? Like, yes, Teresa was able to do it, but she was just a housewife. She wasn't like anything special. Like,
but she also went to jail and she did her time. And so did her husband. And their family was sort of, you know, ripped apart because of it. I feel like she paid the penalty. Erika, I mean, she hasn't been charged with anything. So, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Oh, my. Paris, can you stop barking, please? It's just going to be hard. And yeah, I know what you mean. Teresa did kind of like go to jail, and I feel like she didn't really talk about it much. For like, if anyone just said the word jail, she like would crack the shits. You know what I mean? So she didn't really talk about it until like, well, after she'd been to prison and everything. It took her a while. You know what I mean? Also, what do we think is going to happen at the reunion? Do we think she's going to be like open, or do you think she's going to be more closed now, knowing what's happened? I feel like she's not going to be that open, personally.
I think she's got to give something.
100%.
She's going to have to answer some pretty tough questions, but I think because it's an ongoing legal case, she won't be able to comment on a lot of things. So I hope that Andy asks the tough questions that we're all sort of waiting to hear, and I hope she is open and honest, but I think she won't be able to answer a lot of it.
I agree.
Lisa will for sure have her back. It'll be interesting to see what sort of Sutton and Garcelle say. I did check Erika's Instagram and she's still following like all the ladies, and she's still liking things that, you know, Kyle Richards and Dorit are posting. So whether there is beef or not at the reunion, they might be okay now, or they've overcome it and they're okay.
I reckon like Erika's definitely going to be angry at Dorit and Kyle. 100% Kyle. Like, she's definitely going to be pissed off because like there's been a lot of shit.
Oh, I mean, you wouldn't be happy looking back on the episodes. You know, Kyle's sort of playing Switzerland a little bit. And I think she's trying to work out what to believe. But it's
like, how can you tell Sutton, Irina, and do, like, be honest when she's not even being honest? Like, she's sitting there laughing with Dorit and PK, like, yeah, that was really funny, like, you know. But they're not being honest either. So I feel like Erika, and I feel like that's going to be interesting going into it next season, because I feel like Erika's going to be, like, pissed off with them, you know what I mean? I can't see Erika being that nice. I feel like she's on an island at the moment. She's just going to be happy with Lisa Rinna. But it's like, you've also got to stay on this show because you need a paycheck, so she can't be like, I don't know, attacking everyone, you know what I mean? But I guess we'll find out. But I think it'll be juicy. I think it will be good, but I don't think she's going to be able to say a lot. And I feel like she's also going to, I reckon she's probably going to, do you reckon she'll act a bit more softer? Like, do you reckon she's going to come in with a different approach because of, like, you know, this season was filmed as everything was coming out. It wasn't like now where most of it's out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Look, I think she needs to change her tune a little bit to get some of the viewers back on her side. If she really is innocent. She hasn't been acting that way or portrayed that way. I think there's a lot of behind the scene clips that we
Yes.
haven't perhaps seen, and a lot more that would be. I hope that they do
I hope
air
they air
some
the
of
one
it.
with, they said that they had like Lisa Rinna said that Erika got angry at the producer. Like, I want to see that.
Yeah. Yep. Look, I think she's under a lot of stress, and it must be really tough to be in her position. But I think, she hasn't really mentioned the victims at all. So I hope that maybe at the reunion she'll show a little bit of empathy.
Hopefully.
I think she needs to. But at the same time, it's Erika, and, she's never been one to disappoint. And she's very strong and very confident in who she is. And I don't think she would change for anyone. So she'll come in to defend herself.
I reckon she
sure.
will. She'll come in, defend herself. I don't think she'll touch much on the legal stuff. Like, I feel like she'll talk about stuff she's talked about, obviously, because she'll kind of have to. But I don't think she's going to touch on, like, did Tom know? Or, and obviously if, like, they ask her, did you know? What is she going to say? Yeah, I knew. Like, obviously she's going to say no, so I don't even know why even bother asking that question, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think we might as well wrap things up. But I want to ask, is there any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to say, or any other things that you wanted to ask or talk about or share?
Oh, look, like it's been a really interesting season. It's been great to sort of watch it out on TV, as sort of awful as the circumstances are. I think at the end of all of this, I hope the victims get what they're owed, because that's life-changing for them. It's not life-changing for Erika. She's been living this lifestyle for years.
And some of them only had $100,000, which is life-changing, you know what I mean? That's half one of that Panther ring is like $180,000, you know what I mean? So it's like a ring to her.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree with you. But yeah, I totally agree with everything you say. But you know what? We'll end it there. And you know what? I think we'll probably do a part 2 after the reunion. We'll see how it goes. But thank you guys for listening. Make sure to follow us on Trashy TV Podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Look at us on Apple Podcasts, all of that shit, what I say normally each week. And yeah, look at us on YouTube, all of that stuff. And thank you, Chelsea, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm a podcast rookie.
Great.
So, guys, if you don't like the sound of my voice, Ashley will be
No, you guys are fine. You're both great. You did such an amazing job, Chelsea. I'm so proud of you. Good job. But you know what? Thanks, guys. And I'll see you back here next week. Ciao, Bellas. Bye.